Well, let's chat more about Disney's earnings and the future of the brand. Sam Gennawey joins me live from Tallahassee. Sam is the author of JayBangs, How Jay Stein, MCA, and Universal invented the modern theme park and beat Disney at its own game. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So let's start with Disney beating on earnings and revenues in the first quarter. Any surprises in terms of its strongest and weakest performing areas?
No, I think everything is going pretty much according to their plan. It's kind of an odd year for them, and it's kind of an odd quarter for them as well, because as the company is continuing, as you see, they have to get Fox deal closed. They have to open up their Star Wars lands and their American parks. They've got to get their streaming service up and running, and they've got to get ESPN Plus up and running to a higher degree. But they seem to be on track, and I think that the surprise is going to make investors very, very happy.
And we did see ESPN Plus's streaming service double its subscribers in the past 5 months. And of course, the Disney Plus streaming service is also expected to launch this year. How much of a game changer will this be in the streaming service space, especially when you have rivals like Netflix?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. I'm old enough to remember that Disney used to have a cable channel that was a premium channel that had an additional cost above your basic subscription. And in a sense, they're returning back to that same sort of model. But for Disney, it makes a lot of sense because once again, anytime you're a content producer, anytime you can control how that content gets out is to your own advantage. And this is certainly to their advantage.
And of course, we also have the long-awaited, drawn-out Fox merger. Where do things stand with that, and how much will that shape Disney as a company?
Well, I think that what Bob Iger has done over the years is, in a sense, fundamentally changed what Disney was about. When Walt Disney created the company, his idea was to create family entertainment where everybody could come sit in the same room together. In the case of Bob Iger, he's been buying up brands so that there's a lot of creative opportunities so that the company can be sustainable. But in many cases, if an entire family is sitting in their living room, each with their own electronic device, each watching the product that they like themselves, and they're not communicating with each other, I think that that fits fine for Disney as well.
And are there any challenges that you see as Disney continues to expand and invest in other areas? What do you see ahead?
Well, I think in the case of streaming, it's going to be an arms race at some point because each of the different streaming services are going to have to create premium content, and that's going to get very, very expensive. It's kind of how they got in a little bit of trouble with ESPN. With the theme parks, it's just a matter of finding that fine edge of charging just enough or too much, and also competing with Universal, which is definitely on a roll right now with its theme parks as well. And also, I think Disney is a little weak on its international theme parks. With the Shanghai kind of slowing down a little bit, Hong Kong having its hiccups, Disneyland Paris slowing down a little bit, and the troubles at Tokyo Disneyland Resort, I think that their international theme parks kind of could use a little kick right now, too.
And speaking of theme parks, obviously, as a child, that's usually what you think of when you think of Disney. And obviously, Disney now opening its first Zootopia park from the movie with the same name in Shanghai. What are your thoughts on this move, as well as the competition in this space?
Well, I think in that particular case, it's brilliant because Zootopia, as I understand it, is the most successful animated film in China of Disney. So it's a really familiar brand. It's a place that really, it's the only park in the entire world where I think a Zootopia land could probably be very, very successful. So I think it's a good move on their part. I know that there's a lot of American fans who would like to see possibly something like that come, let's say, to Florida.
And how do you think this plays into Disney's broader strategy in China?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've always looked at the way that when Walt Disney wanted to create a theme park, he gave away a TV show. In the case of Disney, they wanted to create a television network, and they had to give up a theme park. They just haven't gotten their television network yet. It's just helping. Anytime that they can create more familiarity, more of a bond between their various characters, and a country that doesn't have as much of a legacy with a particular brand, it's good for them.
Now, Oscar nominations are out. You have Black Panther making history with its Oscar nod, as well as the Pixar short movie Bao. How does this added recognition further the brand's reach?
Well, I think in the case of the Pixar short, it just once again is another feather in their cap of being a brilliant animation company. In the case of the Marvel film, it's an interesting nomination. It's good because, you know, the brand itself is successful in a financial level, and this gives it a little bit more critical sheen as well too. But it's also a very special movie, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of Marvel films nominated for Best Picture every single year.
All right, one can only hope. Thank you so much, author Sam Gennawey. Thank you for joining me.